Welcome everyone. My name is Sarah Techu. I'm Fundraising Manager here at Caritas Australia, and it's my great honour to welcome you all to today's seminar. First, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land I'm conducting the seminar on today, the Gadigal of the Eora Nation. I pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. For nearly 60 years, Caritas Australia has worked hand in hand with the most marginalised and remote communities in Australia and overseas to confront the challenges of poverty. When a crisis hits, we work through our local partnerships to bring aid and relief to people whose lives are devastated by natural disasters and crisis. We have witnessed support that is truly humbling. For that, we are deeply grateful. Today's seminar series, the Mission in Action series, is designed to delve into the developmental programs and humanitarian work undertaken by the partners of Caritas Australia that your support makes possible. In these seminars, you will hear firsthand the amazing things that your support has achieved. It's nearly 12 months ago that Russia launched a large-scale attack on Ukraine. This conflict has been marked by indiscriminate shelling in civilian areas, with the number of civilian casualties reaching beyond 16,000 and nearly 1,000 children. But you don't need me to tell you about it. It's because of you that the work we'll hear about today has been made possible. You're here because you've supported the Caritas Australia emergency appeal and because you care. Thank you for your support and thank you for your care. Today, we have the incredible opportunity to welcome two of our partners, as well as our emergency program lead here at Caritas Australia, to talk to you about the ongoing efforts to support the people of Ukraine through this ongoing crisis. Before I jump into full introductions, a little housekeeping. You will have noticed your video and mic have been switched off to ensure a good experience for everyone in today's session. You can ask questions. In fact, I encourage you to ask questions throughout the seminar. You can do this using the chat function if you're not familiar with Zoom. This is a little round circle located at the bottom of your screen with a speech bubble on it. Shortly, I'll invite our speakers to share their presentations with you. Once completed, we'll conduct a Q&A at the end of the session. We have two guests joining us all the way from Ukraine and Moldova. Both our guests represent partners delivering relief and support to people affected by conflict in Ukraine. For them, this conflict is very real and very much in the here and now. I welcome Odarka Bodan from Caritas Ukraine and Svetlana Siris from Catholic Relief Services Moldova. But first, I'm pleased to welcome and introduce Damara Spent, our humanitarian and emergencies lead for Asia, Pacific and Europe. A little bit about Damaris. She started out her career specialising in social sciences, initially working as a social worker before shifting into academics. She co-founded an NGO back home in Germany before recently shifting into international aid space. We've been lucky enough to have Damaris with us here at Caritas Australia for the last 2 years, managing our humanitarian aid program. Damaris's focus throughout her career has been in the protection space, including child protection and anti-trafficking. I asked Damaris a little earlier what motivates her, and she simply shared to end injustice, a sentiment shared by all of us on the call today, I'm sure. Damaris is joining us all the way from Kathmandu, Nepal, where her work has taken her this week. I'm very pleased to introduce you all to Damaris.
Good morning from Kathmandu, everyone, and welcome, and thank you for joining this webinar. It's really great to be able to join in from Kathmandu. 1 year into this horrible war, we have seen the constant bombardments. We have heard from our partners losing jobs, losing loved ones, losing homes, sitting in bomb shelters in freezing temperatures. So today's webinar is all about standing in solidarity with our partners. We will have the privilege to hear from our partners obviously on the ground, as you heard, But before we start, I thought to give a bit of context of the current situation of the latest reports. The total number of people in humanitarian need or need currently stands at about 18 million. Millions of Ukrainians have endured intense hostilities, resulting in about over 18,000 casualties, injured thousands of people, and millions of people have lost their homes and jobs. Currently, there are about 5.9 million people internally displaced, and 7.83 million are actually refugees across Europe. There are massive destructions, as we heard consistently in the news as well, of infrastructure and essential services such as energy and water supplies and heating. In fact, 10 million people are actually struggling to access electricity and clean water. And we have heard even in the last quarter of 2022, there were continuous attacks and beginning of 2023 on energy infrastructure, which really caused an energy crisis, specifically in these freezing temperatures. So millions are left without power. Additionally, a lot of the health services are severely restricted. Alone in 2022, there were 763 attacks on health services. And one of a massive impact is obviously on the mental health of people. In fact, it's estimated 15 million people are in need of psychosocial support because of the immense mental trauma due to isolation, struggles with power, energy, losing homes and loved ones. So how is Caritas Australia responding and supporting with the generous support of our donor family? Well, Caritas Australia has set up a special Ukraine appeal, and to date has raised $5,525,000 and $260,000 from about 11,803 donations, which is absolutely incredible. And with this incredible generous support, Caritas Australia was actually able to partner with Caritas Ukraine and Caritas Spes directly in the Ukraine. Both organizations have a large footprint in the Ukraine and really reaching to the various areas in the Ukraine. Via these two partners, we actually joined two what we call joint emergency appeals and are about to contribute to a third one. The benefit of these joint appeals is that they're supported by a number of various members of the International Caritas Federation, which ultimately increases the reach and scope, which is great, of the response. So as a result, just to give a broader picture, the International Caritas Federation, so all of us together and together with our most generous Caritas Australia donors, which is you, Caritas Australia, as a Caritas Ukraine, as well as Caritas Spes, were able to provide more than 6 million individual services, which is absolutely incredible to hear. And additionally, Caritas Australia is also partnering with the Catholic Agency for Overseas Development in England, as well as the Catholic Relief Services, which is an American branch in the neighboring country of Moldova, as well as in the Ukraine. This focus is really on cash assistance, as well as transitional accommodation or emergency accommodation, which we will hear more about it in a second. And so ultimately the focus of everything, or the humanitarian specific focus in these responses are shelter-related services such as housing, transitional housing, collective shelters, cash grants. Winterization is highly crucially important at the moment. Food distribution, health-related services, including medical grants, non-prescription drugs, psychosocial services, as we heard, water and hygiene services, distribution of hygiene kits, for example, drinking water, or renovation of water infrastructure, as we heard, and also cash services, so multi-purpose cash services for basic needs, as well as protection services like legal consultations or child-friendly spaces. Before I pass it on, I actually had the privilege to meet with Caritas Ukraine and SPES, as well as Poland as well, and the Moldova team, which is incredible to see how people go above and beyond with high resilience and stamina, despite this immense amount of stress and trauma consistently being there. And I was also able to visit the shelter program in Moldova, which Svetlana will talk to in a second. So without further ado, I want to introduce Odaka. She will really have obviously an insight into the actual reality on the ground. Odaka Boden is the communications and fundraising manager at Caritas Ukraine. She has worked for over 7 years for Caritas Ukraine and been on the front lines of this ongoing crisis. Odaka comes with a wealth of experience, having worked in various communications and PR roles in Ukraine since 2004, including the RD Group. And next month, she is about to step into a new position as a head of department within Caritas Ukraine. In her own words, Odaka said, Caritas Ukraine is doing everything possible to assist people who suffer because of war. We appreciate all the people around the world who support us. One of the meaning of and the name Odaka is actually trailblazer, which cannot be truer, I think. And so without further ado, I will give the floor to you over, Odaka.
До війни жили, працювали, вчилися. Мої батьки були дуже хворі, я піклувалася про них. Прийшла війна і змінилось все. Змінилось все.
Я приїхала з Луганщини, Луганська область, місто Золоте. От. Ну, попала сюди, теж в Золотники, ну, село у нас Маловоди. Зараз я в Маловодах у школі. Все в нас у школі оборудували, нас хорошо прийняли. Получаємо гуманітар. Теж дуже дякуємо. Це велика нам допомога. Дуже важливо за це. Да. За це дякуємо. Ой, пробачте. За це дуже велике спасибо. Все буде добре. Додому хочеться. Додому хочеться. А вертатися ні до чого.
Виходили з Маріуполя, ми виходили пішки, з дитиною на руках, старша йшла сама, дуже втомилась.
Дитина на ніч читає молитву, просить Бога про перемогу, про мир.
Hello, everybody. I'm not sure, have I get a chance? Okay. First of all, I would like to say thank you to Caritas Australia team for organizing this event. It's an honor for me to be here. And I would like to say thank you to everyone who come to learn more what about Caritas Ukraine is doing this past year. 1 year ago, I can't share my screen. I don't know why. I'm sorry.
Okay,
1 year.
Tech issues that happen. Sorry, Odaka, we'll get those slides up for you fully. Here we go.
Okay.
Thank you for bearing with us.
1 year ago, the life of million Ukrainians changed forever. We just wake up in early morning and understand that the war started. Me personally, with my kids, my family, we went to Lviv in Western Ukraine. My husband for now is serving in defense forces, and this year it was a year full of challenges, full of struggling, full of pain and loss. But at the same time, it was a year of solidarity and support and love. And it will be just impossible without you. So I would like to say thank you, and I will repeat it many times, because it's very important to us to understand that we are not alone, that you all the time stand with us. Next slide, please. You could see on these photos what we are doing and how we try to assist the people affected by war. During this time, next slide, please. During this time, Caritas Ukraine has expanded its network. For now, it's more than 40 local organizations around Ukraine. We are presented almost in every region in Ukraine. It's more than 1,000 employees and more than 8,000 volunteers who came and asked what I could do, how I could support you. And then these people stayed. Sometimes it was beneficiaries who come to get humanitarian aid, and then they become the volunteers, because everyone understands how important to be together to create a real community. The next slide, please. You could take a look how the situation look around the Ukraine. Next slide, please. We are talking about that more than 2 million get assistance, very different assistance, and it's very important for us, because we always said that we care not just to give the food box or hot meal. We also try to care about other things. The people who come to Caritas Ukraine could get the psychosocial support, and it's very important, as Damaris mentioned, because the kids and the adult who get a trauma because all these issues. Also, it supports with medicine, water, shelter, blankets, the clothes. You have to understand that very often these people who fled, who displaced, they just take the documents and some cash, and that's it. And when people come to other city, they have nothing, just one pair of shoes and the one sweater that they take on. Also, we have the program with the cash grants, with reparation and renovation, because we understand that it's very important, especially during the winter time. The people, when people haven't any place where to stay, it's a tragedy, and we try to support them around Ukraine all the time. Next slide, please. Here is some data and figures, and you could just take a look what we are doing, but it's not just the general type of assistance that we provide. We actually doing much more, and at the same time we understand that the war is ongoing, and it's not over. It's tough and exhausting. The constant shelling, the ruined infrastructure. For example, for now in Kyiv, we have no city lights in evening at all. The government turning off electricity for several times in every households. Just to keep the system not to collapse completely. Next slide, please. For now, as Damaris mentioned, Thank you, Damaris. Actually, you give a chance to skip some data. I never like it, but for now we talk about more than 17 million people in need, and the cities are ruined, even not close to front line, and it's difficult to plan something, but still we are working on it and trying to cover as much as we can. Next slide. It's some data about the needs, and as you see, the millions of people have challenges to access to essential basic services and supplies. In early spring, our main task was to survive and to care of our loved one. After that, our task was to continue our work and to communicate properly about our work. And of course, all the data we shared is very impressive, but everything what we are doing, we do it for the people. So the human stories, it's our main priority. Behind all this data, it's a real people whose lives have been ruined forever. During this year, I conducted dozens of different interviews, and I have to confess, I cry in everyone. When you felt someone pain, someone loss, someone experience, it's quite complicated. But at the same time, it gives me a confidence that everything what Caritas is doing does not wane. So I would like to introduce you some person whom I get opportunity to talk last year. Next slide. Eduard was a Caritas Mariupol team member. Mariupol is occupied now, and Eduard with his family have been evacuated from Mariupol when they understand that there is no more chance to survive in the city. Now he joined the team in Caritas Lviv. And when I asked what his biggest motivation, he said that there is my motherland. I have no place to go. And what will happen if everyone will leave? Who will assist to other? Who will prepare these hot soups? Who will prepare these hygienic boxes? Who will play with kids? Who will talk to mothers who just came and need this assistance? I always remind about him when I feel that I'm tired, when I feel that it's continuing for so long time. And I understand that this kind of people, it's like our heart that beating around the Ukraine. And it's very important to all of us in Caritas Ukraine and in network around Ukraine. Next slide, please. When I talked to Oksana, in the beginning, she said, actually, I have nothing to say. And then she starts to cry. The psychologist come and ask, do you need some help, some assistance? But I said, okay, we just try to cry together. She's mother of 5 children. And they came from Konstantinivka. It's also good known place because it's actually front line for now. And she was appreciated for the support, psychological support that she gets from Caritas psychologist. As she confessed, in some moments, if she feel like she has no reason to live, And also she happy that her son have a place where he could come and just to communicate with other kids and the social workers, and have the place, safe place, just to play as every kids want. The next slide, please. Alena from Kharkiv, in the beginning of conversation, said, you know, my story not so impressive. I have nothing to share. But then when she started to talk, I realized that she and her family just went through the hell, the real hell. At the same time, she's so optimistic. She so sincerely believes in the victory that I understand that we have no choice but to win. She said, we will rebuild everything. I just want the war stop, and we will come back to Kharkiv and we will rebuild everything. Next slide, please. All this support, all this humanitarian aid, all these shelters and blankets and cash grants and everything become possible just thank you. Without you, it will be impossible. So just please stand with us and we will win together. The Caritas, it's a real symbol of love and mercy and solidarity, and we are together with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Odaka, for sharing your story and also the story of so many others. As you mentioned, actually, the human stories are our main priorities. When you feel someone's pain, it is hard, but our work is not in vain. And I think this was really a statement that touched us all. And thank you for showing the incredible work of Caritas Ukraine as well. I'm sure we all feel quite overwhelmed by the magnitude. If you have questions, again, just put them in the chat. We will try to get to this at the end in the Q&A. But without further ado, I would like to introduce our next speaker, Svetlana Stiris. I actually met Svetlana in Moldova and felt immediately like we are almost old friends. She really exuberate, she just shows an incredible compassion and generosity. Svetlana is currently the project manager for the accommodation program in Moldova, and she leads a team of 12 and supervises all field activities. She has a vast experience in the international aid and development, both through academic studies and over Peace Corps, the Catholic Relief Services, the International Monetary Fund in her home country in Moldova. And she previously worked with CRS, the Catholic Relief Services in Moldova, for 10 years ago, and was able to quickly join again. And since joining the team, she has become an integral member, helping shape the way CRS in Moldova has responded to the war. She's a mom of a 23-year-old university student, and in her free time, she enjoys spending time with her parents and friends over a glass of Moldovan wine, and I can attest it's really good wine. Thank you, Svetlana, and over to you.
Thank you, Tamaris. Thank you for your warm introduction. I can't start the video. Susie, maybe you can help me. Yeah. Okay, just a moment. Yes. Yeah, thank you. Susie, may I ask for the first slide? Thank you, Tamaris, for the warm introduction, and to everyone attending. It's an honor for me to be here and to say thank you from Moldova. And may I ask for the second slide, please? Yeah, I would like to start by sharing a short video on how CRS, with the generous support from Caritas Australia, was able to be among the first organizations to respond to the crisis and support Ukrainian refugees.
We are looking for families in Moldova, first of all, to say thank you for what they are doing for refugees. And we would like to encourage them to continue to offer their houses. I think this is very important, to help people to maybe to find a home for a little while, for a small while here in Moldova.
Some families have been supporting refugees for 6-7 weeks now. They are being stretched in terms of paying for utility bills. They have also provided food, hygiene items, items for schooling for the kids, and paying for transportation for some families to move further into Europe.
Imediat am considerat necesar, urgent, să ne implicăm în a-i ajuta, fiindcă eu cunosc foarte bine ce înseamnă când o familie este nevoită, mai ales când e vorba numai de o mămică, să-și ia copilașii.
Because Moldova is a poor country, a lot of people need some support by themselves. And if CRS Caritas can provide this support, this will help a lot of people to help more refugees. People from the community, local authorities and other peoples, also they involved so much, and they also invite them to participate, to be part of the society. I think we have something in our soul, and I'm very proud of my people.
Thank you, Susie. Next slide, please. So, from March of 2022, more than 8 million Ukrainians have fled their home since the start of the war. Over 760,000 have passed through Moldova, putting an additional strain on our country. Over 10,000 Moldovan host families have opened their doors to help our Ukrainian neighbors. Hosts are normal people like me, like you, like Elena, who has opened her home to more than 7 families since March. Like many of the hosts, they choose to do this out of the kindness of their heart, expecting nothing in return. The support CRS Caritas has provided has allowed families to continue to host without needing to ask for money from refugees and without having to worry about how to cover additional costs for food or for heating. Next slide, please. This is Marina. Over 4,000 Ukrainians have been served through this program, through our program. Among them, Marina, who arrived on the 3rd of March, a week after the war began. She was 4 months pregnant with 2 young boys, 4 and 7, from Odessa region. A host family in Ciorescu, a small village, welcomed her and her children while they determined what was next for them. After 2 months and no end to the awe in sight, Marina needed more space and privacy for her growing children. CRS, alongside the community, were able to find her an independent living unit where she could live alone. The community of Ciorescu took care of repairing the house and getting it move-in ready. CRS provided the owner with support for the unit in lieu of rent that would allow Marina to live without paying rent. Now, nearly a year after the start of the war, Marina is mom of 3, 2 healthy boys and a happy baby girl living in Moldova. In the fall, in September, her children started school in Moldova. And most recently, her mother has also joined her here in Ciorescu. She remains hopeful that the war will end and that one day they will be able to return home. But for now, she is extremely grateful to have been able to find a home and community in Ciorescu. Next slide, please. Over the last year, the CRS, Caritas Moldova accommodation program, has evolved to meet the varying accommodation needs of Ukrainian refugees in Moldova. Many Ukrainian refugees like Marina are facing the hard decision of deciding what comes next. The program continues to support host families. And since the summer has been helping refugees find private accommodations that provide safety and dignity. In 2023, next year, the focus will begin to shift from relief to integration through a rental and utility support program and helping Moldovan community meet the long-term accommodation needs of refugees. Through the multi-pronged approach, CRS and Caritas Moldova aim to ensure refugees are living in safe and dignified accommodations. You know, less than 12 hours ago, my team and I returned from the field, from a more remote district where we met refugees, host families, we evaluated new houses. We visited a family of elderly people who for 10 months have been hosting 2 women from Ukraine, also 74 and 76 years old. They were so eager to tell us their story, how they left their house with just one small suitcase, how the Moldovans welcomed them, gave them house, clothes, food. And at home, we will rebuild the bathroom and the toilet. With tears in their eyes, 3 women and a man thanked us. We told them where the money came from overseas, from countries, from people who want to help. The work my team and I do would not be possible without the support of Caritas Australia. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Svetlana, for just this incredible portrayal of Moldovan generosity, and as well the incredible work CRS is doing in Moldova and your own personal touch. And it was great to hear these stories. And it's wonderful, yeah, to see people just having a home a place to call home, and a community and a support community, which is so important in these times. Well, we want to open up the floor for questions now. Please place questions in the chat if you have any. We had one question coming through, and I think I'm going to throw that question to both of you, Svetlana and Odaka, if that's okay. The question basically was, or is, how do you keep children safe in a war zone? I was trapped as a child. Thankfully, I was rescued. One of the donors. Thank you for sharing that with us, by the way. And we're glad that you were rescued. And I'm going to throw that question to both of you. I don't know who wants to start. I leave that open.
I could start. My answer will be that Caritas Ukraine doesn't work actually near the front line when our defense forces said that the territory is not safe anymore and you have to evacuate. We provide for these people shelter, food, and other support, but we actually doesn't work somewhere in Bakhmut or I don't know, Kherson when it was occupied. Actually, in Ukraine, the whole territory, it's quite a war zone. For now, we have some conditionally safe place and unsafe place, actually. Here in Kyiv, for example, the alarms like twice a day, and everyone have to go to the shelter, and my kids in preschool have to go to the shelter too. Of course, the situation in Kyiv are generally not so bad, And as a Caritas, we are working actually in the place that are conditionally safe. I hope I answered for a question.
Thank you. Svetlana, do you want to add? Thank you so much, Odaka. Do you want to add anything?
Yeah, just to say that it's not a war zone in Moldova. And yeah, we try to help matching maybe sometimes houses, a safe shelter for kids, for families from Ukraine. But Moldova is not, thanks God, is not a war zone.
Yeah. There's probably more we could say to it, but I'm gonna throw it to another question. Just to let you everybody know, if you have further questions, please feel free to put them in. You might not get to all the questions, but we will answer them even later. So please keep asking if you want to. But one of the questions that came through was, what were some challenges for you over the last year? And again, I think it's again for both of you. I'm gonna throw that again. Maybe Odaka, you want to start and then throw it to Svetlana.
I used to say that the most challenging thing was to cry all the time and to continue to work. Maybe it's not just so serious answer, but actually it's true. I even today, when I start to watch our video that I edited, I start to cry when I heard this lady, old lady from Zolote, who said, "Thank you very much, excuse me, I so appreciate." So it's a lot of pressure all the time, but I understand that what we are doing, the people need it. And we really assist, really provide this aid, and it's very important to all of us.
Yeah, maybe I will add that it was from the early beginning to meet people, to hear their story. And in fact, I want to say that I am much more happier now when I meet Ukrainians. They can at least go out from the houses. At the beginning, they were so scared. And till now, it's really hard. For example, from a 3 days field trip, what I mentioned, we just came this night, I figured out that we need a training or a psychological training for our staff. It's really hard. Still, the war is so close, still people suffer. And here in Moldova, we have a lot of very, very, very vulnerable people with a lot of stories, again, with disabilities, with mental and physical disabilities, because many times people can't move far away and they stay here in Moldova. And yeah, thank you again for your support. We are here and we try to do our best. Thanks to you. Thanks to your help.
Thank you, Svetlana and Odaka. We are pretty much running out of time. I'm not sure, Sarah, if we have one more time for one more question, or yes. Should we? Yes, okay.
Yes, let's fit one or two more in. I think
okay.
It's important that we share this. Thank you, Damaris.
Yeah, no worries. So there was another question around coordination. I think it's an important one. Are all support agencies or partners working together, or do you get together to talk about the support, or how do you do this? I don't know. Maybe again throwing it to both. Maybe Svetlana, do you want to start?
Excuse me, I didn't understand. I
didn't
hear.
Yeah. Do all support agencies or partners work together, or how do you actually work together? Do you talk with each other? Yeah.
Yes, of course we work together. As you noticed, as you mentioned, we already met with you a few months ago, and this was a kind of working together. And let's say 12 people I lead. In fact, 6 of them are from Caritas, and 6 are hired by CRS. And we are a strong team together, just together. And for example, on Monday, we have a meeting with other programs from Caritas Moldova, just to figure out what they have, what packages, sometimes food kit, hygiene kit, and we want to know what they have when we go to the field, we can share with our refugees. Yeah, we work. Yeah, we are very close, and I know the leaders of our organizations, they meet even more often than we. But we, as I want to stress, 6 from Caritas and 6 from CRS, we are working together.
Yeah,
absolutely. Every day in the same office. In fact, we stay in the same office.
Yeah, just a note for others, these are 2 different organizations, they kind of collaborate. There's also a big cluster, we call it cluster coordination systems in each country. Without further ado, I know we ran out of time. I'm sure people still have questions and you might want to even share more. I'm going to throw it back to Sarah.
Thank you to all our speakers today, Damaris, Odaka, Svetlana, for sharing your incredible experiences and really your inspiring stories of hope coming from this front line that at times feels so far away from Australia. But I think today you've really brought the Ukraine closer to us all here in the seminar. So thank you. I'd also like to take a moment to thank everyone who's joined us today in the seminar, and for everyone who's asked a question, a very special thank you. And as someone who really believes you can't say thank you very much, I just want to say thank you to everyone who has supported the Ukraine emergency appeal that Caritas Australia is running, to you all on the call today, and to the 11,000 other supporters out there who are part of the Caritas Australia family and community and have supported this appeal. Everything that we've heard today, the stories of hope that we have heard, would not be possible without your generous and caring support. If you would like to further support the efforts that we've heard about today in both Ukraine and Moldova, or in fact any of the emergency appeals that are currently being supported by Caritas Australia, or any of our general development work that happens all around the world, you can visit our website at any time, or you can also follow the links in the email that we'll be sending out in a few days' time. Your support really does make a difference in so many lives. And I think today's seminar, today's stories have really highlighted that for everyone. Now, if you enjoyed today's events, or if you have any further thoughts, or perhaps a reflection or a question that you'd like to share with us directly, please do let us know. At the conclusion of today's event, a seminar will pop up through Zoom for you. Here you can share those thoughts with us. And I also urge you to answer the question of what you may like to hear further in future seminars, because we'll take that on board. One last note from me, I'd like to give you all a bit of a save the date. Our next seminar is planned for the 23rd of March. In this seminar, we'll be hearing from our Africa staff, as well as our partners on the ground in Zimbabwe. They'll be sharing a little bit with us about what vulnerable people are experiencing throughout Zimbabwe and Africa at the moment. Look out for your invite in the post and via email, and I look forward to seeing you on the 23rd of March. Thank you again for your attendance today. Thank you very much to all of our speakers who've shared your very emotional experience with us. And thank you so much for your ongoing support. We can't make the difference that we do throughout the world without you. Have a wonderful afternoon, and I look forward to seeing you next time.